Baseball is here. You wouldn't know it if you looked outside here in Northeast Ohio, but baseball season is here. We're gonna go from 70 degrees to 30 degrees, all in a matter of hours. Coming up, and hopefully everybody's staying safe with some of the storms that are rolling through Northeast Ohio. Welcome to the Voice of the Land. We are partnered with LPV Productions and brought to you and partnered with Greeny Sports Cards. greenysportscards.com. We tell you all the time, go visit them. They do so many great things. Live every Tuesday on social media. And then of course the big show is coming in April. And I think that's like the 10th or the 12th. I think it's that weekend of April at the Independence Fieldhouse. They're going to be working with the Strongsville Sports Collectors. So kind of a 2-for-1 show. I think I saw they're looking to try to get some signings going on
Nice.
at the card show as well. So make sure to go to greenysportscards.com. Thank you to Steve, Jeremy, their
Yep.
entire team for continuing to partner with us and spread the word about what we do here at Voice of the Land. Kind of started with it. Now I know everybody wants me to start with a certain topic today, Ryan. You may even want me to start with a certain topic. But I'm going to start with what is look, it's our show, so like we're our
Sure.
guy, no regulations on it. The guards are back.
Yeah, they
Now,
are.
will any of us be awake that have the young kids by that time? I don't know. But they do start in Seattle tonight at 10:10. Tanner Bobby taking the mound. The lineup just came out, or is going to be coming out here very shortly. I
Mhm.
got a little preview of it myself, and
Oh,
you
nice.
know, there it. I think that we're going to see Reese Hoskins right from the start this year.
At
So
first,
at first, yes.
wow,
So
wow.
so Manzardo DHing. I'm not sure if the Guardians have it out yet or not.
Sure.
If you want to look that up and just see, because I don't want to,
Yeah, I don't think anything was official yet. I just looked like about half an hour ago. So
okay, yeah. So like, I don't know if anything's official, but I can at least say that's probably going to be that. And then of course you're gonna DeLauder. I know is I've been talking with Andre Knott, who's kind of there with Rick um and Matt on the Guards TV broadcast. He's been saying for a while that DeLauder's going to be in the two hole. Making
okay.
this team, he's going to be in the two hole, and I think that kind of helps a young hitter like him, who's going to, people are going to pitch two guys around Jose because they're not going to want Jose to see certain things. So I think DeLauder can benefit from that. I think Manzardo can benefit from that this season. And, I think, to me, where I wanted to start is, do you have a big question mark around this team in 2026?
Not necessarily a question mark. I would say. I mean, what I'm watching for really is how the kids handle the moment. I would say. I mean, Delauder, Kafis, even Roquel Arias. They're not really super old. I mean, this is the big stage. I want to see Bibby's command early. I mean, if he's sharp, Cleveland can steal. I mean, this game and a lot more games. It's just small little things here and there. I mean, obviously we have the perennial MVP candidate in Jose Ramirez, who is leading the helm and leading this team. I'm just looking mainly for the rotation to solidify and just these young guys to step up. I mean, if there's one thing about the Guardians that we can take away from the past, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years, is that these young guys, they don't necessarily always realize that they're young. They're scrappy and they can play. With sort of. Play sort of naive like
Mm-hmm.
and not necessarily understand the moment but just play through the moment, and hopefully we catch that again. We've been lucky, and but I'm really just looking to see how these kids do this year. So
Yeah, and I think the youth is a question for everybody. I mean, everybody wanted them to sign or trade for somebody. Like their
right.
biggest signing right as of right now is Reese Hoskins, who, as much as I love Carlos Santana, I will always love Carlos Santana. I loved him before, love him now, will always love him. I Right now in my head, I feel like you're going to get more from Hoskins, who's going to help you out there at first, than you did with Santana, where he was at in his career there. Now,
Mhm.
I could be wrong, and maybe it's the same, but I think the one thing that this organization has taught us, even though like we get upset about how little money they spend, in the confines of the money that they could actually spend, there's always going to be the unrealistic people that think that they can spend like the Dodgers. That's never going to happen. That can't happen
Right.
until regulations are put on the MLB. But I think in the grand scheme of things, like this team, yeah, you're going to question the youth, but I think that there's good veteran leadership there.
For sure.
And I think that my question mark really is up the middle in the infield. Arias and Rocchio.
Yeah.
Like they're going to have to show stuff, and not just defensively. And we've seen maybe some issues in the past defensively, but more so at the plate. They're going to have to contribute more at the plate, and they're probably going to be at the bottom of the order for the most part throughout the year. They're going to want Bo Naylor to have a breakout year. So, is he higher up in the lineup for right now than like that 7-8 spot that he was the last couple of years? Everybody's going to get upset about what they see when the lineup actually comes out. Like, that's what happens every year. The opening day lineup, people are like, "Oh my gosh, like we're never going to win anything with it." Like what this team has shown us, to the original point, is that they are willing to change something if it's not working. And it's like if this team looks like it has a chance to contend and there's something, I don't want to, using the phrase holding him back sounds bad because like they made the change. They did let go of Carlos Santana, which was a hard decision. It was a business decision. I don't want to say that, they, make it negative in how they got rid of him, but like they turned over a new leaf when they felt like they needed to, and they didn't wait too long. They allowed the youth to come up and play.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, Arias and Rocchio, especially they're both going to feel the pressure from Travis Bazzana. If he starts playing well at Columbus, they're going to feel the pressure from Travis Bazzana, and who's ever, especially there at second, one of them is going to have to play well. Now, if Rocchio plays well, Arya struggles still, Bazzana can come up in that situation because Rocchio can then go to shortstop in that regard. So, because Bazzana only plays second, and you're not going to just, when you haven't worked with him on it, you're not going to throw him out in a random position right now.
Yeah, that especially for his first time coming up, that would not be ideal. So
no, and look, Chase DeLauder's an outfielder, and look what happened in his like first attempt at a ball. Like, I'm not saying that he's bad defensively or anything like that, but like it's like just throw someone in a different position. One that they worked on, mistakes can still happen, right, let alone if they don't. So I'm always cautiously optimistic, and baseball is such a long season that whatever happens tonight, we are going to wake up tomorrow and we're going to see overreactions out the wazoo. Someone goes 0 for 5 that shouldn't, that someone doesn't like, they're going to say they need to get off the team after one game. Well, like all those overreactions are going to come. As best as I can do, all I can do is send a PSA to everybody and Guards fans everywhere, Ryan, and say, pump the brakes for a while. The saying I always have is, you can't win the division in April. There is the ability to put yourself in a position to lose the division in April. And you can't bank on some sort of 15.5 game comeback like they had last year. But we know that this team is going to stay in things for a while. So just stay with it. Even if they get off to a slow start in April, if they're not far out of the division, they haven't won it, they haven't lost it. You still have, well, let's see, May. I think they play in June.
Mm-hmm.
The other J month, July. Well, one of the three, I think. August, and then I think they play when football's playing in September. So that's 5 months, and if you want to go longer, like that's October into like the first couple of days of November. So like that's 6. That's 5+ months, close to 6, especially starting here in March. It's a long way to go.
Yeah. I mean, one thing's guaranteed is this team is going to pitch. I mean, that's the one thing that you can bank on with Cleveland every year. The rotation is young, but I think the legitimate and the bullpen, while thin in the back end, has enough arms to survive in the early weeks. Offensively, it's going to be streaky. Like I said, you're relying on kids, young players, just prospects that are being thrown up into the big leagues now. So that means you're relying on internal growth as well. You're relying on Jose Ramirez to be Jose Ramirez, and for someone, literally anyone, to emerge as that second star. Obviously, we have Quan, but we need someone else. Quan can be streaky here and there. He can be fantastic for a month and then maybe not so great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the national projections are all over the place, but I think the theme is the same with the Guardians. I mean, if the young bats hit early, this team can, hang around the top of the AC or AL Central. If they don't, it's gonna be a grind. I mean, expectation wise, they're competitive. They're annoying to opposing teams. They pitch well enough to stay in games, and hopefully by midsummer. I mean, maybe the Travis Bazzana conversation becomes unavoidable, but at least it's nice. Like none of these guys are safe. They always got to be watching over their backs. They always got to be performing at their highest level, because there's guys on deck that are ready to pop up or soon to be. And I think that that competitive edge will add a little bit to this team throughout the season.
Yeah, and I mean, look, is Pittsburgh freaking out right now because of Paul Skeens today? Not looking like Paul Skeens, giving up a bunch of runs to the Mets in their opener. I mean, some people might be. Maybe there's something wrong with, like, why did that happen? I don't know. Like, we're not here to cover Pirates baseball, but
right.
Paul Skeens, he was in the WBC. Like, is there some sort of impact there? Like, but to say all that, like, there's a long season. I expect, and I know that there's plenty of months for Paul Skeens to get back to looking like Paul Skeens after just one start. So,
Right.
you gotta give all of this time. And I'm not saying the Guardians are winning the division or doing all of that. But if you look at the national projections and you think that is the way to gauge and grade this team before the season even starts, and try to figure out what you think they're going to do this year, you haven't watched Guards baseball, Cleveland baseball at any point, because they have the ability to prove people wrong. If it happens and the projections are right, like, okay, I'm not here to complain about the projections. I'm just saying, like, the final result isn't set in stone yet. If it matches up at the end, okay, people were right, and the young kids struggled. Got to give them a chance, and you got to give them a couple months. Like, once you get to Memorial Day, that's kind of when a lot of people say that you kind of know who a team is, and you should have figured out your identity by then.
Yeah.
So, switching gears, that's a team that's, no matter what the projections are, there's always the ability to be better. And it's not just based on hope, it's based on what's happened in the past. Say it all the time. There's a team in town where there's always a lot of hope. There's not anywhere near a good track record of results to, back up that hope. It's just being a Cleveland fan, blatant faith, blatant hope. The person that they pick in the 7th round is going to be the next coming of Jerry Rice. I don't know. That's kind of how things get pumped up here. But Myles Garrett, according to Field Yates, and then everybody kind of jumped on it, but Field Yates at ESPN, like, they've altered the language of Myles Garrett's contract, which doesn't pay him those bonuses, basically, what it should have been yesterday, or now it would be 7 days before the start of the actual regular season. So, like, basically that Monday of game week, that I guess it's Labor Day. On Labor Day, that's when he would get whatever this exorbitant amount of money is in this new contract. And what did everybody go to, Rye? Well, that makes it easier to trade Myles Garrett.
Yep.
Do you really think they're going to trade Myles Garrett?
Do I think they are, or do I think they should?
I mean, I'm going to ask you both. I'm saying right now, do you think that they will?
Probably not, to be honest, but I think they absolutely should. So,
why is that?
I mean, Myles Garrett is everything that you want on a team that has nothing else. I mean, he just put together one of the greatest defensive seasons in NFL history. 23 sacks, consistent double teams, triple teams, game plans built entirely around stopping him, and it meant absolutely nothing in the standings. The Browns still finished with the top 6 draft pick. They still looked unprepared, undermanned, and directionless. They still couldn't build a competent roster around one of the best non-quarterback players in football. If you can't win with this version of Myles Garrett, then winning, exactly, are you planning to win? His value has absolutely never been higher, in my opinion. This is the part that nobody really wants to admit, but this is the peak of his trade value. Not next year, not 2 years from now, right now. You're talking about a player who, just broke the sack record, is still in his prime, has, recently no off the field issues except for, speeding, which could eventually, we're not going to get into that. We already did. But is a culture setter, is a scheme proof superstar. If you put him on the market today, you could ask for, and basically receive a king's ransom, multiple firsts, multiple seconds, young player, whatever you want. There may be, 5 players in the entire league who, could command more, and they're all on the offensive side of the ball, snap or at quarterback. If you're rebuilding, and let's be honest, the Browns are rebuilding, whether they, admit it or not. This is the move that accelerates everything, in my opinion. So
I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
I don't, and it's because I don't care about the hope. I don't care about this guy could be something. I know that this guy is something. And, over you grade drafts over the next 3 years. Well, probably the end of Garrett's prime is going to be these next 3 years. And, you don't find a way to actually accelerate and be in contention. And the people that you brought in, doesn't add up to being that. I know he doesn't, having that type of player doesn't impact winning, but he is the best and becoming arguably the best player of his position in NFL history.
I agree.
I mean, I never wanted to get rid of LeBron. I never wanted him to go. I get it. LeBron can impact winning in basketball. One player can impact winning in basketball, but LeBron was the best player in the world. Best player at his position, best player in the world. Didn't want to get rid of that. I got the best defensive end, best rusher, best defensive end in NFL history. I don't want to get rid of that. Now, a lot of people brought up the Cowboys and their interest in him going back home to Texas and all that. I'm not going to do an imitation of the voice, but let's say I'm Jerry and I call up Andrew. Hey Andrew, how you doing, man? Oh, hey, what's up, Jerry? Myles Garrett. I saw the restructuring there. Makes it a little easier for you guys to trade him. What would it take? It would take 4 first-round picks. Well, Andrew, that's against the but click, hang it up. I don't, and maybe my tune will change as things go. I already know that they're not going to do it.
Yeah, I agree.
But I just, I don't. This team doesn't win because they don't do smart things, and I can't even trust Andrew Berry, if he were to do this, to get the right package that suffices for trading Myles Garrett.
I hear you. I mean, you compare this to the LeBron a little bit too. I mean, LeBron left on his own accord. At least the Browns would be getting something in compensation for Myles Garrett as well. So that's a little different, in my opinion. I mean,
now, technically, it was a sign and trade when he went to Miami. It turned into a sign and trade. I don't know who we got, but we didn't get. Yeah, I know we didn't get.
Not worth the compensation of LeBron.
Set the record for the most losses in a row, and I get it.
Yeah. Nonetheless, I mean, we are several years away from this, and by the time these guys who are the best on our team, Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett, Deshaun Watson's going to be off the contracts. We're going to have a very young team and some very old guys, and we're going to be going into a dome with a lot of, I don't know what to expect, man. It's just, so logically for me, first off, they should have never re-signed him to this new contract. That's stupid to want to re-sign him. Hey, you're going to be here. You're going to, you're going to be a Cleveland Brown in the Hall of Fame. You're going to go from Cleveland to Canton, and then now restructure. And, so I don't see them trading him as well personally. But I think they should have, and I still think that they should do it today. I don't care about cap hits. I don't care about, they restructure. They can always figure it out. And I mean, the compensation, give me 2 draft picks and 2 former first round picks who are positions of need, and let's get going. Or give me 3 first round picks and another player. I mean, there's always ways around it. Obviously, we're playing Madden here when we're talking about trading, but nonetheless, like, I just think it would be best for this football team. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I like last year I got to the point before he ended up signing that contract of like, do it then, because like
Sure.
if someone doesn't want to be somewhere, like, don't keep him here. Now, to Myles's credit, he kept his work up. He set the sack record. He helped the defense do what they did. But, and I know you're never going to get another, like, it's going to be a long time before the Browns get another Myles Garrett or Myles Garrett like in that position.
If they ever do, yeah.
But you trade him away, like, that's a huge hole added to the huge holes now you have on offense that you still need to fix, and you feel like you're working on this off season. Would the Myles trade help in terms of being in a better position in next year's draft, when on paper it's supposed to be one of the best drafts and great for quarterback? Like, you've kicked so many cans down the road in the 6 years that Andrew Berry has been GM, and even in other iterations of a front office with the Browns. Like, cans have been kicked down the road, and what's the biggest can that they've kicked so many times and just tried to like throw darts at a wall and figure it out? Well, that happens to be the most important position in all of sports, like the person that's supposed to affect winning on your team, and you have neglected it. You have not actually put in the effort, the resources to actually do things the right way and find a quarterback. I know it's difficult, but that is what you are paid to do, and that should have been number one. Try to figure that out when they started this whole thing, or at least when you decided to trade away, like, move on from Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Why was that the option? Like, I know we have recency bias of what it's looked like on the field.
Sure.
But you brought that to be the CEO of your football team, the face of your franchise, and never even thought about the ramifications around all of that. Like, those are the type of decisions I get frustrated with.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, when you say they haven't, they tried to attempt to address that position with the Deshaun Watson trade, and it blew up horribly in their face, just absolutely horribly. So they have tried to make, splash plays to acquire a former Pro Bowl, former All Pro, top 10 pick in the draft, who was proven. Obviously this is after his allegations. So, I mean, morally, that was the only reason they were able to get him, because morally he was compromised or allegedly, whatever, nonetheless. So, they also had to guarantee the contract, $230 million, one of the worst contracts ever in the history of sports, but they did make that splat. They tried to, at least, and now I just feel like they're stuck in that decision, and there's no way out right now, at least recently. And it's going to take a few years. So that's holding over our heads too. We did have a quarterback who probably wasn't, he's probably an average quarterback in Baker Mayfield, and we traded for someone who they thought was going to be top 10, and it ended up, completely blowing up in their faces. So as much as I, criticize Andrew Berry and still criticize him for that move, I have to push back and say a little bit that they at least have tried. It just wasn't the worst decision in hindsight of sports history. So
to me, it was, again, throwing a dart at a board again, just chucking up a Hail Mary in the game of jackpot, like just hoping and praying that, like, everything around around this guy was going to miraculously just disappear, and everything was going to go right, and he would be mentally in tune, and none of that stuff would matter, and it'd be another case of off-field stuff in the NFL where everybody would just forget about it because he was winning.
Yeah, and then that's exactly what they thought was going to happen.
And I I I get that they were trying to take a chance. I've just never agreed with the way that any iteration of this organization has tried to take a chance. And then you have back then you had, what was it, Teddy Bridgewater was like the analytical mastermind, and you still took a guy off the streets advice to take Johnny Manziel and like all that stuff. Like, we do more things to be relevant instead of doing things to win.
Yeah, I feel like they tried to have their cake and eat it too. They go for the player or position of need like Johnny Manziel, but they also want that star fandom around. They want that swag. They go for Baker. They go for Shador. They're trying to have their cake and eat it too. Instead of getting, the adult in the room that has been quoted for years around here, they try to get the quarterback. Who cares if he's a little, quirky or smug or cocky? It doesn't matter as long as he can perform. And every single one so far, we'll see what happens with Shador this year. But so far, every single one has fallen flat on their face. So
yeah,
that's the problem.
I don't care if the aunties come at me. Like, I love Shador. I want him to succeed. But we've seen too often like that has a potential to again be something that somewhat blows up in their face. The only saving grace is that it was a 5th-round pick. So like,
exactly.
High,
Thank God we didn't take him 2nd overall.
low risk, high reward, that type of thing, though that type of scenario. So it's something you can move off of. I am not saying I want to move off of Shador Sanders right now. Again, people can come at me. I don't care. I'm telling you, I love Shador Sanders. I am rooting for Shador Sanders to be the guy and provide something to this organization and be like that lottery ticket. One of those
nice.
one of those darts at the dartboard that actually hits a bullseye. Like, I would love that.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to say for a fact and like try to stand on business that it's going to happen.
No,
I cannot do that from the history of fandom that I have being a Browns fan.
And I'll say he hasn't earned anything so far. That he hasn't earned anything. I mean,
no,
obviously
it's going to be a competition.
It's for sure is. It's going to be between him, Deshaun Watson, maybe Dylan Gabriel if he doesn't get traded, and probably an outside source that's not on this team right now, whether it's from the draft or free agency. And Shador might have the slate nod ahead right now because he wasn't started at the end of the year, but he did not do anything to earn last year. I mean, let's be honest. Like, I do not care. Come at me, that's cool. But I'm rooting for the guy. Of course, it'd be so nice if a 5th-round pick became the franchise quarterback of the Browns and our problems were solved for years to come. But I am not anointing this guy anything right now. Go earn it, pal. And everything I've heard so far is great, especially this offseason. I've heard he's going in there and he's grinding and he's preparing and he's not messing around. He's taking this seriously. And I hope that's the case. And I hope he wins it. I hope he's a franchise quarterback for years, but he hasn't earned jack squat. So let's chill out.
And everybody got upset when Jason Lloyd, the Athletic, said on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, which is through KYC, but I know that they do it at like 11 on YouTube. But it's like associated with WKYC Channel 3 here in town. Like, he had said that, like, what he heard, that he couldn't read defenses, he didn't know how to watch film, wasn't watching film, all these negative things. And of course, everybody came at him. Like, Jason Lloyd is a credible reporter. I'm here to stick up for the media in this way. Like, somebody or multiple people are telling him that. Now, are they telling him that and they're being truthful? Like, that is where you question it from, like, what you can see. Like, that is a viable question because of what we saw and, like, the thing, at least what we saw Shador trying to do and, like, the, kind of the behind the scenes sometimes and all of that. Like, you can question, we'll never know who's telling him that, but we can question him being told that. Sure. But he has every right, when he has sources that he trusts and have told him right things before, as a media member, to go out there and say it. Now, again, people always they take advantage of those relationships with the media. They feed stuff, they build, I'm sure there's people that want to, there's always alternate motives in everything. There's great people, there's great sources that are always going to give you right information because they know that they built trust with you and they're only going to maintain that trust. There's others that are going to try to like fake trust and like tell you something and then immediately you can tell as they start talking it's wrong, so you're not even going to listen to them. And then there's always the people down the middle, like they build the trust, they want to and then they like maybe they start to get a little big headed and they think, oh, I can get this out there or this out there because this person, like overthinking everything. So I didn't like the pushback there. I just don't know that I don't know what's happening because everything Shador does looks like the exact opposite of that report.
Right. I actually hadn't heard that, but if that's the case, I mean, heard briefly from just, listening to the radio, that he has been doing the right thing. So, I mean, if Lloyd's coming out and saying that, I mean, cool. I mean, it doesn't bother me
Yeah.
at all. It's just, I mean, it's going to affect Shador in the end. So whatever is the truth, I mean, it's up to him. His destiny is in his own hands. It's either he's going to become a competent quarterback in the NFL by preparing, by watching film, by getting ready, or he's going to be fizzled out in 2 years and just go hang out with daddy's money. Like, I mean, it is what it is. No skin off my back. Obviously, I'd like the latter. Obviously, I want him to be here for a long time, but he's got to earn it.
And it's hard for me to believe someone telling someone that Shador doesn't know how to watch film.
Yeah.
I could believe someone choosing not to watch film, but I also imagine if that got to Dion, I think that that would be handled that way because Dion didn't get good just because he was just super talented and like you see the bravado and the cockiness and he could back it up with his play, but you saw that sort of bravado and you're thinking, oh well, this guy just assumes that he's good and like just cocky and all that. Like no, like this guy worked hard, prepped, watched the film, diagnosing defenses. He was also playing another sport for part of the so like you don't get there without the work. Sometimes the work is overshadowed by the persona that you decide to put out there in the world. And look, Dion made a great, an excellent career out of that. Shador can't be Dion until Shador plays at a level like Dion at the most important position in all of sports. That's really the biggest thing. You like you said, you got to go earn it. If you really want it and you feel like you should be that guy, then you would do everything possible to go earn it.
Wholeheartedly agree. Yep.
If you're not willing to do all that to go earn it, then you don't want it at all. And that's a lesson for life too. You want some great career, you got a passion in your life, whatever you're going after. You don't just say, "Oh, I'm going to be that," and get your foot in the door and then just choose to I just assume this is where I should get to. No, you can't half-ass things. You got to go all the way and you got to earn what you get. I think that's I mean, I could debate, we could still go into the debate on who to pick and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to.
Yeah.
the whole if you want to tackle still offensive lineman at 6, great. You want a wide receiver at 6, great.
He's gonna trade back, so doesn't matter.
I think we can all agree. I don't want Ty Simpson. Maybe we can.
Heck no.
Sorry, Dan Orlovsky. I don't want. But do you have a prospect that people should keep their eyes on just overall in this draft?
Yeah, I can break down one. Let's do Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver out of USC. He is my wide receiver 3, my 32nd overall prospect on my big board. If you've been following along on my podcast and you've heard about that, he's 5'11" and 1/8, 192 pounds. Ran a 4.48 at his pro day, and he's obviously the 2025 Biletnikoff Award winner for the best wide receiver in college football last year. I think he brings a compact, explosive frame that fits perfectly into a modern slot Z mold. Like I said, 5'11", 192. He's built for efficiency and controlled movement rather than overwhelming size. His game is rooted in balance, pacing, and the ability to stay clean through traffic. He's the type of receiver who wins with detail, footwork, leverage, timing, and projects as a high-volume separator who can live inside or bounce outside depending on formation. He didn't just produce at USC. He dominated, guys. He was the best wide receiver in college football in 2025, taking home the Biletnikoff, like I said, after torching defenses with precision, toughness, and a veteran level of understanding of space. I would say his two-way background in high school sharpened his feel for coverage, and USC staff trusted him early because he processes the game like a quarterback. He became the engine of their passing attack, the guy who kept the offense on schedule, and the player that defenses had to account for in every single snap. I think he plays like someone who sees the field one step ahead of the defense. He's consistently manipulating defenders with pacing, stride variation, and subtle body language. He's not trying to win with raw speed. He's trying to win with timing and clarity. He's always available, always working back to the ball, always giving the quarterback a cleaner answer. After the catch, he is slippery and efficient, probably one of the best guys in this class for yards after catch. He uses balance and short area bursts to turn routine throws into incredibly productive gains. Route running and separation is where I think he separates himself from most in this class. His release package is quick and calculated, built on footwork that prevents defenders from landing clean contact. He varies tempo, disguises his intentions, and snaps off breaks with very, very great precision. Against man, he wins with suddenness and detail. Against zone, he's one of the best space readers in this draft. He settles into holes naturally, doesn't drift, and understands how to stay in phase with the quarterback. I think he's truly a chain mover by design. His hands are steady and trustworthy as well. He didn't test at the combine, but he answered every question that you had basically at USC's Pro Day. Like I said, he just did the measurables at the combine, no athletic testing, but he did get the 4.48 40 in the USC Pro Day, right in the range that most expected him to be in. And more importantly, exactly in line with how he plays. I think he's quicker than he is fast, but he's not lacking any juice. I would say his movement is smooth, coordinated, and efficient. He didn't participate in jumps or agility drills or anything like that, but the tape clearly shows that his short area burst, balance, and body control define his game. I think with the Browns, I think this is one of the cleanest fits in the entire draft for the Browns, honestly. The Browns desperately need a true separator, a reliable underneath option, a receiver who wins early in the route, someone who can play inside or rotate to Z, although he's not a true Z. And a player who doesn't, need manufactured touches. I think Lemon would give them exactly that. He would immediately raise the floor of the passing game and give the quarterback a dependable rhythm-based target. He fits perfectly with, I think, the Munkin Switzer system, that values spacing, timing, and receivers who can manipulate leverage. He's the type of player who makes the offense functional, not flashy, not gimmicky, but, reliable and efficient. I think he's the kind of receiver that this team has honestly been missing for years.
Well, and I've heard that he, even at his size, like he is someone that can still go up and get it.
Yeah.
Too. Of course, you mentioned his 40, and I mean, I know that Mekhi Lemon did become a meme for some people with how his look at the combine on one answer, kind of looking demonic a little bit. But did you bring up his 40 time? And of course, there was conversation about Carnell Tate's 40 time coming out of the combine. This might be a difficult question. I don't know.
Okay.
But you know a lot more about this than I do. How would you, or how should people balance, a measurable like a 40 time in terms of helping, hurting, or just kind of just a data point that tells me everything I need to know?
Yeah. So I lost my. I mean, 40 time isn't the only thing that matters in the NFL. Yeah, speed does matter, but I mean, you're looking at play style, route running, and separation, ball skills and catch technique, their athletic profile. There's a lot of certain things that go into what I think translate to the NFL. So speed isn't the overall determining factor whether or not a receiver is going to get open. I think their separation and route running is just as important. You can there are plenty of receivers that are not fast in the NFL but are still elite. DeAndre Hopkins ran the same 40 as Carnell Tate, and no one was complaining about him being one of the best receivers in the league just because he's not burning somebody on the outside. So it's just about all the translatable traits. Yes, speed obviously helps, but I mean, usually with speed, you lack certain things like body type. A lot of the speedy guys in this draft are very short. They're quick. Lemon has decent height for specifically a receiver of his type. I mean, almost 6 foot, 192. He's still holding that weight. I mean, there's guys in this draft who, like, the fastest guy in this draft is He ran a what was a 4.36. He's 5'9" and weighs 162. I mean, there's a huge comparison, you know. So just because he's fast doesn't mean he's also ranked my 20th receiver. Just because he's fast doesn't mean he's going to be necessarily great in the NFL. So it's just a combination of all these different, you know, traits. So
yeah, because like from like I don't want to call myself an average fan, but like in terms of like breaking down the way that you do and like getting into the weeds and all that, from like a 30,000 feet perspective, I see it as like, okay, a lineman, whether on the offensive line or defensive line, we know that they're looking for that 10-yard split, but like someone runs a little bit faster, that might be an additional data point that you use maybe in favor of them to go back and watch their tape and like look to see like how that speed kind of translated. Or you know, if you're a wide receiver and you run like, okay, let's say like 4.7, 4.8, like that's definitely going to hurt, and you got to go back and watch the tape. Like, does this person play faster? But when you're one of the top, like I feel like I understand how it can go into the the decision making process. Again, you look at a guy like Cardinal Tate, like Tate's tape. Let that tell, like these top prospects, Tate's tape, let that tell the story. Yeah, let that tell you who that is.
Yeah, with the combine, it's about 20% of my overall grading when I'm looking at these guys anyway. 80% is what I've seen on tape. So, I mean, 20%, the combine is reaffirming, you know, confirming what I saw on tape. It's just reassuring me. It's not the end all be all. So there are some you know, combine darlings. Deion Burks was one of them. But he's not going to be a first round pick. He's probably going to be fourth round, third round, somewhere in there.
Lorenzo Styles going 4.2, like
right, yeah, exactly. So just because you're a combine darling doesn't mean necessarily that you're going to be a top pick. The combine is there, like I said, just to confirm what you saw on tape, and for some guys just to show maybe what they weren't available to show on the field to scouts that are there. That's it. So
yeah, well, we know that you know, these teams all have their own process for it. Some are very similar to others. Some may be different. Some may think that they're smarter than everybody else. We don't know. You know, I would say we should switch to the Cavs. Not because we're up against it, because I have a work element I need to do in just a couple minutes, but the Cavs they're lucky that the Browns and this Myles Garrett conversation is out there, and that the Guardians are starting, because, you know, they're kind of like third fiddle right now. And you know, I get it, they were on a second night of a back-to-back, but defensively, not going to get it done. And Kenny was right to call him out, but you don't have a lot of time. You only got like 8 or 9 games left. Like, I think we kind of, unfortunately, the writing's on the wall of what this playoff run will look like. Anything more that we get out of it is going to be, you know, make it a little sweeter, make it feel a little bit better. But I'm not going down the weeds of them. No. I will say the one thing that I did want to say, and I'm probably like on an island by myself with this. I hated that Andrew Berry was not at the Ohio State Pro Day. Even if you have stuff you need to do in Berea, you have the money, you have the resources, you have Jimmy Haslam, you can get on a private jet, take like 20 minutes to get from Cleveland to Columbus, go talk to people on campus. Like, you don't need to. I know people say pro days don't matter, and people have told me that when I said I didn't like that he wasn't there. They tell me that pro days don't matter. Well, what matters is talking to people around. And I've heard like one of the most important people on a college team to talk to is the strength and conditioning coach about a player. Talk to people around the university. Like, how are they? Like, does this match with what we're trying to bring into our organization? Like, there's little things you can add. It's not the 80% or whatever. Like, it's a percentage of the makeup, but you're now in the scouting process. Your scouts have done the work during the seasons. You have the ability, the season's over. You can go talk to people, get on that private jet, get to Berea, still get some work done, go home, spend time with your family and all that. It frustrates the heck out of me. Like, it's right down the road. You don't go. Now they've shown that they're willing to pick Buckeyes now, which is better. That's one I would like to see them go to more often.
Yeah, I mean, they did send a bunch of representatives and their assistant GM, so I get it. It does look bad, but I mean, if you entrust the guys I don't entrust the guy who hired the guys who sat down there. So of course, like, yeah, we're going to talk about it. But if he entrusts the guys who go down there, once again, you've seen enough on tape. Now it's just confirming what you saw, and maybe just a few personal interviews or dinners, I guess, with some of the top prospects. But there are some Carnell Tate, Alvaro Reese, Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, all four probably going to be top 10 picks, and we have the 6th overall pick in the draft. So is it? I don't know if it's negligent necessarily. Is it a bad look? Yes, but I can see, I guess, devil's advocate. At least he had representatives there, which normally we don't have, and specifically the assistant GM.
I get it, but those two could have gone to take a couple of scouts with you, gone to Alabama, which is at the same time, same day. You could have been there like that. If you go to if he is not big on going to pro days,
he should.
He should. It's stupid that he doesn't. But if there's one that you really shouldn't miss, if you're going to be an NFL team and you have NFLU 2 hours by car, 30 minutes by private, 20 or 30 minutes by private jet down the road in your very same state, you may want to take as many face-to-faces as you possibly can with those type of players because they've more often than not proved to be pretty impactful in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree.
Just saying. But that is where I'm going to leave it. That is how we will end this. You can tell that I have an Ohio State bias in sports and even in football, more college over my NFL team even. It's getting more like that. Can you blame a guy when that team doesn't win? I don't know. But it is opening day. If you stay up, great. But, baseball is here, but it's not just a one-day thing. It's not just, opening day and the home opener, and then we just all go by the wayside. It is something to keep your eye on. Don't overreact. Mm-hmm. Let's just let this young team grow as a group throughout the year, and let's see that development. This team develops and stays healthy. There's a lot of potential with this young group. Ryan, anything else you wanted to say?
I just want to say right after this, 7 o'clock, so in about 10 minutes, we are going to go live on the Commissioner's Couch Fantasy Football Podcast. We did miss last week, but we actually ended up recording, not live, but just a pre-recording yesterday. We posted that show. It was our last 6 receivers. We totaled 18 2026 rookie receivers. Kind of changed up the style of how we formatted the show. I think it worked really well, and we're going to continue that today with our first 6 running backs, not necessarily top 6. So we're going to break those down today as well. Check us out on the Inside Edge Network. Really grateful.
Absolutely. So check them out. Things are in the works with the Voice of Land. We shall see if we have any announcements in the near future. AA, Anthony Alfred does a great job running Inside Edge.
Absolutely.
Anthony, I know you asked me for something. I'm going to get it to you.
He asked me twice. I've sent it to him twice, and he still hasn't posted it. So we're good. It's been months. So
it's going to come maybe now, like next week, because I'm also prepping to call like the most games I've ever called in a 2-day span, as I am part of the broadcast team for the MLIS and WMLIS indoor soccer semis and finals that are happening in Vegas. I don't know if I should pull the curtain back or not, but I may or may not be calling this from not Vegas. But it's still going to be a great time. Make sure to check it out. National Soccer Network. There's actually a Roku channel for it. You can add to your smart TVs or nationalsoccernetwork.com. It's going to be exclusively through them, so make sure to tune in. And your Cleveland team, the Cleveland Crunch, will be scheduled for 9 Eastern time on Saturday, and then for the chance to try to earn a spot in the final, which will be 7 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. For Ryan Mosser, Peter Tellep, our entire LPV production crew, Steve, Jeremy, Greeny Sports Cars, greensportscars.com. Thank you all for supporting us. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great night. We'll be back next week. I'm sure there'll be plenty of more stories and plenty of more silly season to react to. We'll do it right here. I'm Kevin Rowe, reminding all of you sports fans, don't let anyone ever tell you it's just a game. We truly love you all 3,000. Don't talk about it. Be about it.
28 days, 1 hour, 8 minutes, and 38 seconds to the NFL draft. Let's go, baby.
The countdown clock is on. Live life, all gas, no brakes. We'll see you next time right here on the Voice of the Land.